Okay, traders, now in day 3 of the Trading Psychology Mastery series, we're going to be talking about what specifically you should be doing before every single trade you take. I want to give you a process, I want to give you a model that you can follow before every trade you take. Because now think about it. Let's backtrack over the last 2 episodes, the 2 days. You want to get paid as a trader. The way you do that is by clearly defining an edge in the market. Now putting that edge into a mechanical system which allows you to come back to the market every day to execute on that edge. Now what we have to do as traders now is we have to adhere to the mechanical trading plan that we created in day 2. We have to focus on putting our mindset in the best possible state so we can stick to that trading plan in order to approximate our edge over a large sample space. That's the way we make money as traders. That's the way we get paid. That's the way we're able to get funded and get payouts, etc., etc. Now, we're not going to be talking about any nitty-gritty, minute, or advanced concepts in psychology just yet. We're going to get into those in the next few days. But rather, what I want to give you is a set of processes, a model that you can follow to ensure that you're actually sticking to your trading plan. Now, it was a few years back when I had worked with hundreds of traders and I had a full spectrum of traders. I had some very successful traders that I worked with, and I mean, some were pulling a significant 6-figure monthly income from the market, doing very, very well. And I also had some traders that were not doing so well. I'm talking 6-figure losses a month. So I saw the full spectrum of traders, and there was something that became very obvious to me that separated the not so good traders from the very good traders, the inconsistent traders from the consistent traders. And that was very much their thought process or the reason why they took a certain trade. And I ended up creating what is called the Bulletproof Your Mindset Tools. It's a completely free tool that I've been sharing on this YouTube channel for the last few years. I've been sharing with my 6-figure students to help them get great results. And really what I want to start this video with is the underlying principle of that, so that we can understand what separates not so good traders from good traders, and we can create a process around that. We can implement that before every trade you take so you can start emulating the results of 7-figure traders out there. If you haven't made a single dime from any of my videos yet, I've got something for you. I've created a free quiz which is going to tell you which trading mindset you have, as well as give you the specific steps you need to take to profitability. Click the link in the description and get started. Now, the golden principle that we want to adhere to is this. The golden principle, in summary, is all around process over outcome. The golden principle that you want to embody before every single trade you take is this. I don't care about the outcome of this individual trade. Whether this individual trade that I take that's right in front of me is a win or a loss, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Because remember back to that first episode when we're talking about the sample space, the data you find through backtested data, you have an enormous amount of data. That one trade could be a win, one trade could be a loss, one trade. The individual trades don't matter. What matters is the end result of the large sample space. So the golden principle is about embodying this mindset of I don't care about the outcome of the individual trade. I care only about ensuring that I execute my process, i.e. my trading plan, consistently, because I know if I do, I'm going to approximate my edge. The outcome of the individual trade doesn't matter. Nobody can predict the outcome of the individual trade, and in fact, it doesn't matter what the outcome is. What matters is me sticking to my process on this individual trade, adhering to my mechanical trading plan, because I know if I do that over a large sample space, I'm going to end up profitable. I'm going to end up approximating that edge I've created in the first place. So the golden principle that we need to prime our mindset to embody before every single trade we take is this golden principle right here. And the way you do that is through multiple different ways, which we're going to discuss in this video. I've got 3 specific ways to do that. But that golden principle is what we need to embody. Now, what I've done is I've taken the Bulletproof Your Mindset tool and I've put it in the link in the description. It'll get you direct access to that without any email or name, completely free. And you can go in there and you can start implementing the tool. Now, I'm not going to run through this specific tool in this video because there are tutorial videos when you go and download it and when you go watch it with the link in the description. But I'm going to share the underlying principle that tool helps you embody. Okay? I'm going to be sharing additional ways and additional processes you can put in place to embody that underlying principle. What's most important is you embody the underlying principle, the golden principle, which is process-based thinking over outcome-based thinking. It's not about the outcome of the individual trade. It's about adhering to your trading plan. Okay, now there are 3 specific ways you can do this. The first way is to plan and prepare. And we've already indirectly talked about this in day 2 by creating your trading checklist and trading plan in the first place. Like I mentioned, through working and implementing the principles we talked about in day 2, you're already taking care of an enormous amount of the part of trading, which a lot of trading is just preparation and organizing your setups in a very particular way, organizing your entries. And then when the market presents the opportunity, then it becomes very easy to come in there and execute. So planning and preparing means having a mechanical trading plan, day 2, and a mechanical checklist that you can stick to. The other part of preparing is waking up every morning. It depends on your time zones. I know here in Australia, it's more in our afternoon. The London session comes around towards night. If you're more Euro-based, it's pretty early in the morning. So you determine when you would like to do that for yourself, but you need to dedicate a certain period of time. Let's call it 15 minutes prior to every trading session. Let's say you trade the London session. So 15 minutes prior to the London session, whether you do that morning, if you're London-based, or whether you do that the night before, it doesn't really matter. What matters, though, is spending the time to plan and prepare. Now, depending on what time frame you take your setups, it may actually matter, because if you're on a very low time frame, the market tends to change quite quickly. Whereas if you're more of a swing trader and taking higher time frame setups, then you can allow yourself a little bit of wiggle room and maybe plan and prepare the night before. But irrespective, you want to take 15 minutes prior to your trading session to what is called forecast the opportunities for that day. And what you're doing specifically in this 15 minutes is you've got your trading plan, you've got your trading checklist that we've created from day 2, and you're looking at the current market condition through your watch list, all the pairs, all the cryptos, or the stocks you trade, you've got them there. And what you're doing is you're having a look at which of those pairs or cryptos or stocks or futures, whatever you trade, is likely to present an opportunity in that trading session. And then you create your own little daily watch based on what's presenting opportunities that day. So you can narrow your focus just to those specific assets. And then on the chart, you're forecasting potential opportunities. So you've got your trading plan, yes, but what you're doing is you're creating a little daily watch list and daily opportunities. Daily watch and daily opportunities. And you're narrowing your focus in a sense to that day for those specific assets, for those specific setups. And you're planning the opportunities for that day. All right. A big part of emotional trading is very quickly seeing an opportunity that you don't think through deeply, getting caught into FOMO, getting caught into the fear of missing out on an opportunity you think is there, and you rush into that setup. Okay, so the first way you embody this golden principle of process over outcome is planning for the specific trading day and specific trading session. This means getting clear on your daily watch list and forecasting all the possible opportunities based on your trading plan and based on your trading checklist. And you literally bring up your checklist and trading plan next to you. You're looking at the markets, you're seeing how the markets are forming. You're listening to what the market's trying to communicate to you. You're seeing where it aligns with your trading plan and if criteria is met. And you're creating predictive ideas in your mind about, all right, if price does this and this and this on this particular asset that's in my daily watch, I'm going to execute. And in your mind, you're going through the opportunity of both physically and mentally preparing for a position on that daily watch. So if the market goes and it tags one of your alerts, by the way, definitely use alerts if you don't already. Set some alerts. If the market tags one of your alerts, then you go to your particular chart, you see it all drawn up there, you see your daily game plan for that particular asset. And if the market aligns based on your criteria, based on how you plan, based on your checklist, you then execute. It's a little bit different to seeing, oh, that looks good, and placing a trade. Okay. Now, the second way you embody this golden principle of process over outcome is by implementing some sort of deep breathing process. Okay. And now we're going to talk more extensively about the specifics of the psychology, but what you want to do is implement some sort of a one-to-one breathing. I want to give you additional ideas and additional thoughts and very easy things you can implement to ensure you're embodying process over outcome. Now, ultimately, you have to embody the right thought process, which is this, and implementing the Bulletproof Your Mindset tool is going to help you do that. So this is where the free tool in the description, the Bulletproof Your Mindset tool, you want to implement that as well, right? You want to make sure you plan and prepare. That's going to help. Each of these things will help each other. So planning and preparing will help the implementation of the principle. Implementing the principle will help planning and preparing. Another way to help with that is deep breathing at a 1-to-1 ratio. You know, you'll find when you're emotional, if you're incredibly depressed, what you're going to find is that you have very shallow inhales and very long exhalations. You're going to find your posture slumping over, right? You're going to notice a physiological change. Whereas if you're highly elated and in this manic state, you're going to find that you have really deep inhales and very short exhalations. So when you have a different ratio in your breathing, let's say 3-to-1 or 1-to-3, you can actually impact the physiology, also can impact the psychology and vice versa. If you have a very depressed psychology, you're going to impact your physiology and have different changes in your breathing. So by breathing at a 1-to-1 ratio, and I've shared before, breathing in for 5 seconds, holding for 5 seconds, and then breathing out for 5, and then holding for 5, and repeating this process 5 times of breathing at a 1-to-1 ratio, deep diaphragmatic breathing. Guess what? When you're watching the charts, because when I do one-on-one work with clients and I see and we really zero in on what they're doing before they're trading, some of them are glued to the charts. They're creating all these ideas in their mind about the outcome of a trade. And what they're doing is they're not even noticing their breath. They're very elated. They're in this manic state. They're breathing in deeply, breathing out really short exhalations, and they're priming themselves to be in this very elated fight or flight response to capture after the greed and to capture after the prey. Or they could be in this fearful state of they've just experienced a loss and they're slumped over, they've got poor posture, they're breathing in shallow and breathing out really deeply for a long period of time, and they're promoting this fear state. So by breathing deeply at a 1-to-1 ratio and being present with your breath and balancing your breath, you balance your psychology, and guess what? You become more present with the market. You get out these ideas, these outcome-based ideas that you create in your mind that promote fear and greed. You get out of that and you get more present with your breath. You get more present with what's happening here and now in front of you, which is the market. The fear and greed is all created in memory and imagination in your mind, which we'll talk about later. But the more you imagine or fantasize or remember or imagine rather, the more you're going to be in fear and greed. The more you're breathing at a 1-to-1 ratio, present with your breath, present with the market, the more you're going to make process-based decisions. Okay? Deep breathing at a 1-to-1 ratio will help you embody process-based thinking, the golden principle. The next one here is a visualization process. And by the way, I want you to do all of these before you take a trade. You know, some people think you just come to the markets and execute like that, make an enormous amount of money. Not necessarily true. There's a lot that goes into it. Now, initially, it may be quite difficult to implement all these principles and processes, but with time and with practice, just like training a muscle in the gym, you become very good at it. Okay? Now, I want you to do all these things. I want you to embody the golden principle through the Bulletproof Your Mindset tool, plan and prepare for your opportunities. Just as you're watching a trade, focus on breathing, 1-to-1, being present with the market. When the market presents the opportunity, execute according to your plan. The other thing here is some traders go into outcome-based thinking and away from process-based thinking because they're attached to this idea of this positive fantasy of this win, right? And they're looking at a particular trade. They think $1 is going to go to this price by this time. And they're attached to that idea, they're attached to that outcome. And as a result, they get away from listening to what the market's truly communicating to them. They promote this greed state. They go into this confirmation bias state where they promote this fight or flight response, just like an animal would in the wild. They would get really riled up. They get really fired up. Cortisol and adrenaline would pump through their body to capture after a prey. A trader can put themselves in that very same state by creating all these ideas and fantasies about the outcome of a trade. And they could think about the funding they're going to get potentially from that winning trade. And these are just all the fantasies and ideas they're creating in their mind. The cars, the bills they could pay, etc., etc. And if you're promoting that type of outcome-based thinking, you're not going to stick to your trading plan that you created. You're not going to be able to make money over a consistent period of time. Because remember what we talked about. Trading and making money in trading isn't about being right on the individual trade. It's not about winning the individual trade. It's about consistently executing on your sample space over a long period of time. So what I want you to do with the visualization process is visualize both outcomes. When you're looking at a trade, before you get into that position, you want to visualize both outcomes. That trade winning, hitting your take profit, and also losing, hitting your stop loss. And do a deep visualization with that and come to terms that both outcomes are truly possible. And you're only really ready to take that trade if you can truly accept both outcomes, a win and a loss. Because truth be told, nobody knows what's going to happen on that individual trade. So if you don't accept the win, or if you don't accept the loss rather, then what's going to happen is the only reason you're taking that trade is because of what you think the outcome is going to be, the win, but you can't predict the win. So you have to be willing to experience both a win and a loss on that individual trade in order for your edge to play out. So through this visualization process, you want to visualize both outcomes, the trade going to your take profit and also the trade going to your stop loss. And there has to be this level of acceptance in your mind that both outcomes are possible and I've accepted both. Because in order to embody the golden principle, I don't care about the outcome of the individual trade. What I'm focused on is transcending the outcome, the win, the loss, transcending that and sticking to my process. And the way you adhere to your process is through planning and preparing based on your mechanical trading plan and checklist, doing a deep breathing exercise, and also visualizing both outcomes of the trade, accepting both outcomes of the trade, win or loss, and just visualize yourself being calm and non-reactive to both win or loss, accepting that it doesn't really matter what the outcome of this individual trade is. I've accepted both. I'm just taking this trade because it aligns with my trading plan. The outcome doesn't matter necessarily. The outcome of the individual trade doesn't matter. What I'm focused on is just executing my trading plan so I can approximate that larger edge. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So I want you to implement these 3 tools, 1, 2, and 3 before every single trade you take. And the other thing I want you to do is make sure you're using the Bulletproof Your Mindset tool. Again, this is accessible in the description in the first comment. And this tool is going to run you through a process of identifying just before you take a trade. Use the Bulletproof Your Mindset tool before every trade, before every entry, before every decision for management, right? When you trail your stop, etc., etc., before you take partials and profits. You have to use this tool because each of these decisions have to be made based on process, not based on what you think the outcome is going to be. Because nobody knows what the outcome is going to be. And the outcome doesn't matter. What matters is consistently adhering to your processes over a large sample space. Okay? And the Bulletproof Your Mindset tool, what it's going to do is you've planned and prepared for the day, for the trading opportunities. You're doing your deep breathing to be present with the market. When the market presents the opportunity to execute, what you're doing is you're doing your visualization. All right, I can see both outcomes, win and loss. And by the way, this can happen. You can do these very quick when you get good at them. You're going through the process, and then you run through the Bulletproof Your Mindset tool. You ask yourself, what am I expecting from this trade? What am I expecting the outcome of the trade is? What am I expecting the market's going to give to me? Is it a funded account? Is it a certain profit? Is it a certain price over time? What is it? And you have to write down all those subconscious quiet ideas of what you think the market's going to give you. Jot them all down quickly on a piece of paper that's right next to you, or in the tool if you have that next to you. You have to write all those things down. And then you need to ground yourself now, once you've written all those outcome-based expectations, and ask yourself or remind yourself, Pat, nobody has any idea of what's going to happen next. Who are you to think that you can predict what's going to happen next? There are just too many factors in the financial market for anybody to think and to predict what's going to happen next. Who do you think you are, puffing yourself up, thinking you can predict what's going to happen next? You need to ground yourself. You need to humble yourself and recognize that you can't predict the next outcome. So all these expectations of what you think the market's going to give to you are completely unrealistic. Okay, you need to ground that. And you need to make sure that you remind yourself before you put risk on in the market that the outcome is uncertain on that individual trade. Is uncertain on the individual trade. So what's most important is that you only take trades that align with your process, with your trading plan. Because if you do over a larger sample space, you will end up profitable. Okay? And I need you to learn to embody these principles and these processes before the trade, every trade. And it's not that difficult to do. It may take a little bit of time initially, but it can happen very quickly. You plan and prepare for the day. You have a look at you. So just in summary, you have a look at your trading plan. You know your opportunities. You have a look at the market. All right, these specific assets, these 3 assets are providing and aligning in a way that my trading plan states I have an edge in. I'm going to put them in a separate watch list. My focus for that day goes just to those particular assets. Maybe it's a currency, maybe it's a future, maybe it's a commodity, maybe it's an index, maybe it's a stock, maybe it's a crypto. It doesn't matter. The principle is the same. You want to remind yourself before that trading day, it's not about the outcome of the individual trade. It's about strictly adhering to my proven processes. That's the game. Then you have a look at that particular asset and you mark up and forecast, if the market did this, it would align with my trading plan, I would execute. And you're planning and preparing mentally and physically for a potential option or a potential trade on that particular asset. And if the market then aligns based on your trading plan, you're doing a few things. You're constantly focused on deep breathing at a 1-to-1 ratio. You need to constantly keep your mind balanced through balanced breathing. So you're present with the market, you're present, you're not caught up in memory and imagination. It's very important when we talk about the mindset stuff. And then if the market aligns according to your checklist, according to your criteria, you want to run through the visualization of it playing out in your favor and it hitting your stop loss also. It hitting your take profit, it hitting your stop loss. Okay? And you need to accept both outcomes. You want to do that visualization very deeply and be very present with that and accept both outcomes so that you truly accept the outcome of that trade, whether it's a win or a loss. And then you want to humble yourself and bring to surface any expectations you have of the outcome of that trade. You write them down quickly and then humble yourself and recognize that, Pat, you have no idea of what's going to happen next. All these ideas of what you think the market's going to give to you are unrealistic. And then you want to remind yourself and ask yourself a very simple question. Is this trade part of your trading plan or not? If it's a yes, you take the position after you've humbled those expectations. If it's a no, you don't take the trade. You sit on your hands and you make sure you humble those expectations and those fantasies that you create in your mind so they don't drive you into taking the position, which we're going to explore more in later episodes in the psychology series. Okay? That's a little bit of a summary of what the best traders do before every trade they take. These are ideas and principles that I've picked up through my own journey, through working with very, very successful traders, and I've formulated ideas and processes so that I could pass them on to my traders, to you guys, to ensure that you're embodying process-based thinking, you're embodying the golden principle, and you can actually get paid as a trader consistently. If you found this video useful, please share the YouTube playlist for this series with your trading communities. And if you haven't already, make sure you do the Trading Psychology Archetype Quiz. That's an absolute mind blower. The things you're going to learn from that's completely free, and it's going to help you make more money as a trader. I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow.